Can we start, Mr. Jim? Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome all to this meeting of the Horn Lake Board of Aldermen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. As always, we appreciate the citizens being so involved because good government depends on the citizens being here. Hello, Miss Monica, Mr. Michael. How are y'all? All right, at this time, I'd like to call on Alderman Johnson to give our invocation.
Let us bow. Heavenly Father, thank you for this city and the privilege to live here. I ask that you bless our city, each citizen and employee. Please protect us against violence, hate, and anything against your will and your way. I pray that every leader serves with integrity, justice, and godly wisdom. Bless those affected by the recent storm, those who are sick, those who have financially been burdened, experiencing death, or any hardship. Lord, continue to give us all strength for this journey. These things I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Alderman. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman David Young? Thank you, sir. Thank all of y'all. Roll call, please, Mr. Jim.
Alderman Klein.
Here.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Here.
Alderman Geis.
Here.
Alderman Bostic.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Here.
Alderman Dupree.
Here.
Alderman Young.
All right, we have a quorum. First item on the agenda is the vote on the municipal docket. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Bostic, or was it Alderman Geis?
Alderman Geis.
Geis.
I make a motion to approve the municipal docket.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second? Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Nay.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe. Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. The second item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through L.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bostic. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe. Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Alderman Young.
Nay.
Was that a yay?
Nay.
Nay. Motion carries 6 in favor, 1 opposed. All right, the third item is the claims docket. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
I make a motion to approve the claims docket, general fund, $469,615.95. The library fund, $12,038.17. The economic development fund, $7,080.89. The utility fund, $160,473.77, for a total docket of $649,208.78.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Dupree. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Nay.
Alderman Dupree. Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Nay.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe. Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 5 in favor, 2 opposed. All right, number 4, special guests and presentations. We are fortunate tonight to have the representatives of the Gerald Group that did our city audit be present with us. Thank you for the long trip, Miss Monica and Mr. Michael. The floor is yours.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Everybody should have a copy of the audit in front of them. I'll try to quickly go through a few highlights. Once again, the city of Horn Lake did receive an unmodified opinion from the audit of the financial statements. This is the best possible outcome of an audit, so excellent there. Just as a refresher for the governmental type financial statement presentation, wanted to point out a couple of things. On page 9 is the management discussion and analysis. This gives a good outline of the financial statements and reports some additional information. But as a refresher, page 11 and 12 have some great information to help explain that particular type of presentation. For example, on page 11, right under the heading Government-Wide Statements, the government-wide statements report information about the city as a whole using accounting methods similar to those used by private sector companies. And then on page 12, summarizes the city's two types of fund financial statements under the governmental funds heading. The city's most basic services are included in governmental funds, which focus on, number one, how cash and other financial assets that can be readily converted into cash in and out, and then two, the balances left at year end that are available for spending. And then under proprietary funds, the heading there, proprietary funds are for services for which the city charges customers a fee. And like the government-wide statements, these funds provide long and short-term financial information. The utility fund is a proprietary fund. Going to the financial statements themselves, they begin on page 19 with a statement of net position. And as mentioned earlier, this presentation does include all long and short-term financial information for the city. I wanted to point out a couple things on this page. Cash increased from the prior year by about $7.4 million, so the city's total cash was $26.1 million at September 30th. The section right before liabilities, as a reminder, we touched on this last year, but you'll see deferred outflows of resources that includes a line item, deferred outflows related to pensions. As a reminder, this is just from a new accounting standard back in, well, it's been around for almost 10 years now, intended to present more detail about the PERS and the related liability that's related to each municipality's proportionate share of that liability. This had a significant impact on the financial statements, and you can see further down, the pension liability for the city is about $27.2 million at September 30th, 2022. And this is explained in a lot more detail in the notes to the financial statements. Continued on, the city reduced their total debt by about $3.5 million from the prior year. And page 20, I'll touch on this again. I know I briefly touched on it last year, but just to explain kind of the layout, because this really gives a good snapshot of the city's activity for the year. This statement summarizes the city's operations or change in net position for the year. And to briefly go over it, if you look at the first column from the left under heading expenses, the city's total primary government expenses were about $27 million for 2022. As you move to the right, there are different revenue columns under the heading program revenues, such as fines and charges for services or operating and capital grants and contributions. Those program revenues total to about $11.98 million. And if you continue to the far right column and down to the middle of the page, you will see the net total of the city's expenses and program revenues, which is a negative of about $15.1 million. Continuing further down that far right column, you will see the general revenues come into play that offset that negative amount. These revenues consist of property taxes, sales taxes, franchise taxes, etc. The total of those are about $19 million. So when you factor in these revenues, the negative net amount of about 15.1 becomes a positive or an increase of about 3.8 million in the city's net position. That's just a quick rundown of that statement. The governmental fund financial statements begin on page 21, and the proprietary fund statements begin on page 25. Just, again, quickly, the notes to the financial statements begin on page 30 and have some really good kind of summary detailed information. They're on pages 40 to 41. You can see the city's capital asset activity for the year. So you can see the beginning balances, your additions to capital assets, any disposals, and your ending balances. And on page 42, that begins the notes for the long-term debt, which summarizes your future principal and interest payments. And like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of stuff about the pension liability, and that starts on page 46. I think there's several pages there that kind of cover that. And again, that's required. The city would never have to cough up that amount of money, but it's supposed to be put on there just to let everybody know, hey, this is what's going on with PERS. Also, some required supplementary information about the pension liability on page 53, and that kind of gives you a historic kind of summary of all your liability, what it's been doing over time. You can kind of see what's happened with that over the last 10 years. And the supplementary information also includes a schedule for surety bonds and municipal officials. Again, this year there is no schedule of federal expenditures because the city did not have more than $750,000 in federal expenditures, but in 2023, y'all will have that summary because it'll be over that $750,000 threshold. The reports on compliance and internal control begin on page 62. And the only thing that we saw was just the city needs to continue to work on improving tagging their fixed assets, which I think they've already done. Y'all have done a great job of improving just the last year since we've started on the audit. And that is mentioned in more detail on page 64. But overall, this is a very solid report. Jim's great, Marie, AJ, all the staff do a wonderful job of getting us information in a timely manner. Great to work with, no issues with them whatsoever, so good working relationship there. I know that's pretty quick, but are there any questions?
Does anyone on the board have any questions or comments for Mr. Michael? Well, you were very generous in heaping praise on our staff, and they certainly do an excellent job. And we're all delighted to know that you had no problems getting the information that you needed. And I want to thank the staff and the department heads publicly for working so closely with Miss Monica and Mr. Michael. They do a great job for us. They work like Trojans when they're here. They just take over the conference room and just grind it out all day long. And we appreciate your firm, Miss Monica, both of you, doing our audit, and we're looking forward to your services next year.
Great.
And thank you for agreeing to do the audit for next year.
You're welcome. We appreciate the relationship. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Well, are y'all going back to Jackson?
Tupelo. Yes,
Tupelo.
We're heading back right now.
All right, well, y'all be careful on the road. Try to get there before it gets dark.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank y'all very much.
See y'all. Thanks.
Thank y'all. All right, under special guest, we have another special guest who I think everyone knows. Mr. Ed Flynn. Mr. Flynn, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, as you know, I'm here at Begging for Money. I'll second that, then I don't have to talk. Now, we are starting, if my calculations are right, the Samaritans is starting their 20th year here in Horn Lake. Moved out a little bitty trailer up on Highway 51. The property was donated, the building was donated, and we've been serving the community ever since. We gave you a packet, something similar to what we do. On the first page is just our Mississippi Food Network report. That is what I fill out every month and send to the state of Jackson for USDA food. that we get from them. That's the only thing I have to count in there. It tells you how many families we served, how many people we served, and things of that nature. Then the second page was, it's a copy of what I sent out to the churches this time of year. We have 13 churches right now that support us every year in providing Thanksgiving baskets for 100 needy families in the community and our clients. They have to meet USDA guidelines for poverty and I guess things of that nature. And so they sign up each year between now and we give it out the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And we do 100 boxes every year. And then the last page is the churches that support us and kind of what they bring to put in those boxes. Along with that, they send us a $75 check to help provide a gift card to go in each one of the boxes. We put a $15 gift card in each box to help them with to offset the expense of meat and stuff like that, because we don't have a place to put hams, we don't have a place to put turkeys, and we can't find them if we did. And I think that's kind of what I've got.
Did you ever get a freezer back there? You didn't?
Yes, sir, we did get our walk-in freezer and walk-in cooler, and it has been a blessing. I got rid of 6 items inside the building, and we keep them pretty full. In fact, yesterday, the cooler, the refrigerator part come in handy, because I got a call from a trucking company that had a load of eggs that was refused because it didn't match their bill of lading. Their bill of lading said 60 and he had 48, and they wouldn't take it. Or it was the other way around, I don't know which. But anyhow, his dispatcher told him to donate them, and they called, and they're in my cooler now.
Outstanding.
Well, I take that back. Part of them's in my cooler, part of them's at the jail, part of them's at Heartland Hands, and part of them's going to Sacred Heart, and part of them's going to Hernando, to the food pantries. And my cooler's still gonna be full. So when we're able to get things like that, we pack it up, and then I do my best to distribute. I find a home for it.
You're talking about 48 1 dozen packages? of-
No, sir. 48 cases, 15 dozen in a case.
Oh,
I figured it up last night, and it's a little over $2,000 worth of eggs.
that's fantastic.
And it's something we hardly ever have. Something we hardly ever have.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Flynn?
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Alderman Johnson.
Mr. Flynn, thank
Yes,
you so
ma'am.
much for what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
It is greatly needed in our community. Other than those entities that you just mentioned that you may share things with, like you're sharing those eggs, is
Right.
there ever any other instance where you're sharing resources with them as well? Or, are you getting money or items from any other places?
We don't share money because we're doing all we can to keep the doors
Absolutely.
open. In fact, our finances are getting pretty low. And I decided this year, starting yesterday, no, it's today. Today the 1st? Today the 2nd.
Yes, sir.
Today's the 1st. Today is my first day to be at the Samaritan as a 100% volunteer. I am not being paid anything at all. We do not have any paid staff any longer
Bless you.
to be able to do this.
So you and your staff are completely
We're
volunteer?
100% volunteer starting today.
One more question, Mayor.
Anything else, Alderman?
Yes. Mr. Flynn, as a community, what can we do to help you? We know that you're here for a donation from the city, but as a community, we know that everyone is not in need. So if a citizen wanted to reach out to you to help with your efforts, what can be done?
The biggest thing is any kind of staple food, dry food donations, anything like that. We do have some cooler and freezer capacity now that we didn't used to have, so we can take that. The main thing is it has to be packaged. We can't take anything that's been opened,
Yes, sir.
or anything that's expired. I do my best to try to keep from giving anything. The only thing I'll give out expired if it's been frozen and I know where it came from.
Thank you.
we try to protect the people just like it was at the grocery store.
Alderman Johnson, I want to be sure I understood your remarks. Did you also mean to imply if he needed volunteers, that people could
Yes,
step
sir.
Oh,
Any,
yes.
any kind of help that you may
We-
need,
we can use- we
financially,
can use-
items, works with hands and feet. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. We could actually use some help, and the reason I say that, there's 11 of us right now in the building. I'm 73 years old, and I'm the baby,
Wow.
and I'm the baby.
I would have guessed you to be older than that, Mr. Flynn.
No, that's you, sir. We've known each other all our lives, sir. Yeah, that would be you, sir.
You're here before the board to request $5,000?
5,000, yes, sir.
Anybody on the board have any questions, or we have a motion? Alderman Bostic.
Doing okay tonight?
I guess.
Yeah.
I'm still.
Good to see you.
I'm still kicking.
Good
I'm
to
still
see you.
kicking.
Well, everything you do is very important for the city of
Thank
Horn
you.
Lake and all the ones that need it, and I'd like to make that motion to honor that request for $5,000 to go towards the Samaritans.
Thank you, sir.
We have a motion by Alderman Bostic. Do we have a second? Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion?
Mayor.
Alderman Young.
Mr. Jim, we have everything we need for this grant, correct?
Yes, Mr. Head submitted all the items that were requested in the grant process.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else, Alderman? Any more questions or discussion? Mr. Jim, roll call, please, sir.
Alderman Klein?
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe? Alderman Geis?
Aye.
Alderman Bostic?
Aye.
Alderman Johnson?
Aye.
Alderman Dupree? Alderman Young?
Aye.
Motion carries, 7 in favor, none opposed. And all of us, thank you for what you do for the
Thank you, and I
citizens.
thank you for what y'all do. And if any of you ever want to see the facility or whatever, let me know. We don't have to be open. I live about 5 minutes away, and I can take you over there and give you a tour of the facility if you'd like to see it, or if you want to see us in action. We're there on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 till 2.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, number 5, planning, there's nothing on that. Number 6, before we go any further, I'd like to recognize Mr. Alverson, who has been hired as a code enforcement officer. Mr. Alverson, would you please stand? Welcome to Horn Lake. We appreciate you doing it. Well, thank you, sir.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We,
It's unusual for somebody that gets hired to come to the board meeting.
all right. We're down to number 6, new business. I think Mr. Robertson has a few remarks prior to we moving on.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention one quick thing. I know Mr. Michael gave a lot of information, but to me, the biggest thing is the last paragraph on page 12. I mean, if you forget everything he said, that talks about how we ended this year that they audited. We ended with $3,838,570 surplus. I mean, we had that money that built onto what we've had in years past, that $6,375,106. So the city has a standing of over 10 million unobligated dollars. So if we had a catastrophe here, like we've seen around the nation, we have $10 million from all the previous years and this year combined. So it is a good standing that the city is in. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, sir. All right, letter A. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Young.
I'll make the motion, we accept the fiscal year 2022 financial audit as presented by the gentleman from Jarrell. Thank you.
We have a motion by Alderman Young. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Dupree. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young,
Aye.
Alderman Dupree,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Bostic,
Aye.
Alderman Guys,
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe, Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Letter B, do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
I make a motion to approve and acceptance of the September 2024 engagement letter from Gerald Group to perform the fiscal year 2023 financial audit for the city of Horn Lake at a cost not to exceed $28,750.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion?
Mayor,
Who's that? Alderman Klein.
I was gonna ask Jim, once we approve this, when do you think they'll have, this budget audit done?
I would have to find out from them their timeline. You know, they are excited to move right into our next audit, but I wouldn't feel comfortable answering that until they kind of give me an idea of when they'll be able to get started. You know, they do have a lot other clients that you know, they're working on currently too. So I could have an answer for you next board meeting.
And the reason I asked that question, I think that's been brought up a few times, saying, hey, as soon as we get 2022's done, then, you know, they'll move right into 2023, and you know, I think even throughout that possibly be done before the first of the year or something of that nature, from the previous, I believe.
Yeah, they're
Just-
wanting to move quickly to get finished close to the first of next year, because, you know, they get busy when it gets closer to April
Okay,
and
so
May, so.
one more question.
Yes, sir.
I normally in the cities, I mean, we've been working behind on our year budgets for, you know, from the get-go. So what is the standard? I mean, usually when you finish this year out, how soon is that year? I mean, because we got behind, what, 4 years or 3 years or whatever it was. What is normally the standard when the city does an audit? Are they stay up, or they usually stay 1 year behind?
Yeah, if you're looking at a city that is caught up, we closed our year yesterday. Today's the first day of our new year.
Right.
Typically, a city will engage in around November. They will start their year that they just ended. So we're moving right into our 23, and then hopefully next year we will finish the 24, because we just closed it out a day ago. So you know, we're still working on those numbers, and actually you know, 24 is not completely closed out, because as we've talked in the staff meetings, the department heads still have, you know, outstanding invoices that they've been ordering things that we'll have to get on the books. So that's why typically a municipality will not start before November on their audit. But Mr. Michael and Monica are excited to get started as soon as possible, is what they told me. So we have had Miss Marie is working with another one of our financial consultants that is preparing all the numbers, and it's getting a lot closer, you know, quicker than we were in 22. So we look hopeful to have this finished shortly after the first of the year. You know, we do have a lot of slowdowns around Thanksgiving and then Christmas and New Year's.
One more.
Yes, sir.
I know we had purchased some new software that's supposed to help us, tremendously in our audits and that type of stuff. How's that going, to help with our audits? Is everybody on board and things going good with the new software?
We haven't implemented the software yet. We're still going through a process where they are getting all of our data ready to move over. So that really doesn't work to help our audit at all. We'll just be going through a different financial software for the 25 audit.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Jim, thank you for getting this thing done. I know in years past, we had a lot of pressure on us because we was about 3 or 4 years behind. And I know it put a lot of pressure on you, and I really thank y'all, and I thank the board that we got this a little bit closer and closer, and maybe next year we'll be right on line. So that's a real big thing.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor.
Alderman Young.
Mr. Jim, this is exactly how it's supposed to work. Exactly the way it's working. You're doing an awesome job, you and the entire staff on that hallway. This board came in, we were 3 years behind. It's taken a lot of work and a lot of effort to get this done. And I'm glad we're where we are. The date was set for October, and you got there. And that's to be commended, sir. I'm excited that they're moving forward, and if I understand correctly, I think a lot of the product that they're requiring has already been delivered to them so they can start. We're just sort of going to finish up some of the later actions prior to last night at midnight. Does that still set true?
Well, I mean, you all approved the engagement letter. So we'll begin with a lot of the uploading of the documents that they need. Once we get the signed engagement letter over to them, they can accept those. But yes, Ms. Marie has been compiling all the documents in files ready to go to them.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for your continued support of this, because this is how the city's supposed to run. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for those kind words, sir. All of you. All right. Citizens' remarks. Do we have any?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I think we haven't voted
Oh,
on 6B yet.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second, but no votes yet.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. We have a motion. We have a second. Thank you for reminding me, sir. Roll call, please, Mr. Jim.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Yeah, I didn't have a C on mine.
Yes, you do.
All right, thank you. All right, letter C,
Mayor,
Alderman Young.
we might want to listen to Mr. Box about this before we make a motion to do something. There's a lot more involved instead of just what we're talking about here. I think we're just throwing good money after bad if we do this right now. I think we might want to talk to Mr. Box.
Does anyone object to that? Is that all right? I know the C didn't show up on here. That's why everybody's looking. All right. If no one objects, can we get Mr. Bostic up here? Mr. Box, excuse me, not Mr. Bostic. Mr. Box. You,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
You might want to come forward because we really can't see you down there.
You want me to
a lot
come
of
to
it.
the, you want me?
See, and when you talk in that microphone, you're going that way.
All right. Can you hear me?
For those who don't know, this is Mr. Stephen Box, who is our Director of Public Works and does an excellent job.
Thank you, sir. Just an update and to give you some more information on the drainage problem for right there at Shadow Oaks and Dunbarton. Public Works, we did run our camera down that drain from Shadow Oaks down to the problem area that's back there. That is the concern of the citizen that brought this forward. Immediately putting the camera in there, we noticed that the pipe is holding water in the bottom of this pipe, the entire length all the way up to the problem area, and it's holding probably about 25% on the bottom of this pipe. We, as we ran the camera, we can't see the bottom of the pipe because it's all under the water there, but there are certain signs that if you look to the side of the line where the water line is on these pipes, you see a good bit of rust. So we feel like the bottom of this pipe is probably gone. It's probably rusted out. Probably from the curb all the way to the bad section there behind the home. That's about 170, 180 feet of length of pipe. When we got to the area of the problem and looked at that, we got to that section, and our camera car, which runs on some big tires, we couldn't even make it up into the other part of the pipe. Once we got to that section, it's like I think either because the bottom is rusted out, and that other section of pipe may be okay. What we could see from that section when we got to that part, that part looked okay, but we couldn't go any further. So at that point, we believed that either the bottom is gone in this pipe, and we couldn't make it up the car couldn't make it up into the other section of pipe. We did get to that area where all the washout is and all the ground is missing. There is a significant separation there between the two pipes in that area. You could when we scanned it, you could see the outside, you could see the sunlight, you could see the ground, you could see you could make out, you could probably put my leg through this hole, how big the gap is. So there is a situation right there. We believe what needs to be done is a new pipe installed from the curb to that section, the bad section. And I met with Vince out there today, and before we do anything else, and Vince, you might want to jump in here with us, but we feel that they need to do more of a study on how this flow is.
Yeah, so if I may,
Yes, sir.
Mayor, what Stephen has said about the pipe as far as the condition of it, it's definitely in bad shape as far as it's seen its life. So I think it needs to be replaced now. That's a pretty long stretch from the entrance of that pipe to where it exits on the north end. Mm-hmm. That entire length is probably, what, Stephen, 600 feet or so?
Yeah.
Or more?
I mean, the whole length of pipe going to the ditch,
Whole
yes.
length. So that's what you're looking at, and it's about not sure, probably somewhere around 60-inch pipe we're thinking. But anyway, that being said,
Excuse me, sir, what size pipe did you say?
we're thinking about 60-inch.
6 feet?
Well, it could be. It's either we're thinking maybe either 48-inch to 60-inch. We really haven't got a good, precise measurement on this pipe yet.
I just want to make sure I heard it right when you said.
Yes, sir. 60-inch diameter, and it's a corrugated metal pipe. And so, one thing we talked about in the field was just replacing it or fixing that one spot. Now, from what he's seen with the camera, that will help, obviously, because there's definitely restriction there. And what we'd have to do is, and I haven't seen the proposal that he's getting from a contractor, but if we have to do something immediately, I would think we'd probably just replace a section of that pipe and band it together on one end and the other. Just replace that section about 20 feet. That's just to get you where the pipe hopefully might be flowing close to its full capacity. So if you get a big rain, you're not backing up on the streets and stuff as much. The other thing is, if we're going to go in there and replace that pipe full length, you're talking about a pretty good project. And what I was telling Stephen is we need to look at the entire area, basin that thing is draining. So number one, make sure we got the pipe sized correctly. And number two, that we got the proper inlets on the streets to carry that water into the pipe. And so that's one thing that we'd want to do once we move into the phase of replacing this pipe. Now, whether you do it in phase one, which is like he's talking about from the street to this bad spot, which is 150, 200 feet,
I'm getting about 170, 180. I do have some estimates from some contractors already on that process, and I've gotten anywhere from $32,000 to a little over $47,000 just to do that,
yeah.
To replace 100 feet?
to replace about 170 feet of pipe.
And so you could do it in phases, Mayor, what I was saying, you could, if you want to work with the cash flow problem or something like that, you could do it in phase one, which replaces it from the street to this point, where we know there's a restriction, and then maybe phase two would be from there on to the outlet.
Thank you. May I ask you something, Mr. Vince?
Yes, sir.
Somewhere several years ago, there was a very large amount of money mentioned in doing this drainage thing. How much was it? It was several $100,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was several years ago, and I think it was like 600,000. We were
That's to
looking
do
at,
the whole thing.
yes, sir.
But, and Mr. Stephen is talking about spending 40,000
Mhm.
and hope it works, right?
Well, we know it'll fix it up to the point he's talking about, obviously. But what's beyond that, he hadn't TV'd yet to look at that. But obviously, that would be part of what I'm talking about in the analysis, is let's analyze this thing, see how much water's going through this pipe. Is it the right size? Do we need to upsize the pipe, add more inlets? And at that time, you can determine whether, what else is downstream of there. Needs to be worked.
Well, do you gentlemen think that starting off just doing that one section would help alleviate some of the flooding problem in that area? Would it do any good, in other words?
It's hard to say, Mayor, because
Yeah.
we don't know what's downstream of this.
Sir?
It's hard to say right now because we don't know what's downstream of this. There could be other restrictions, but we don't know.
All right,
Yeah.
sir. Anybody else have anything? Alderman Young?
Thank you. Mr. Vince, and this may be something for you and Mr. Robinson to answer. The 200 foot that's going to become from there down to where the wash is, where it's washing away, which is what started all this stuff. And I'm not wanting to put a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage, because that's what this C would do. It's not going to do anything. We're just throwing money away. The problem that we have now is the wash, the erosion. Would it be feasible, and I don't know what I don't know, so that's why I'm asking you, would it be feasible to put some riprap in there or something to slow that wash down until we complete this study? It would not be feasible.
I don't think so, and the reason is because looking at it today, I've looked at this thing, we've been looking at it for quite some time, years I'm talking about, several years. And over the years, as we've been back through there, the erosion area does not look like it's gotten bigger, much bigger, and it's grown up in that area, which indicates that these trees have grown up in the erosion area and it hadn't eroded a whole lot more. There's not anything raw out there is what I'm saying. So I don't think there's anything in immediate danger right now. And so I think we just need to, if we're going to do anything out there, if we're going to spend any money, it needs to be replacing that pipe.
I was out there today, and I was out there the other day when it was raining and the hurricanes and all that, and I talked to you about this, Mayor. If you go up Walnut Grove Road, that's the right road, I'm on the
Right,
right.
yep.
I get Shadow Oaks or Shadow, whatever it is.
Yep.
Get them all mixed up over there, because I'm thinking of Memphis, so anyway. If you go to the top of that hill, there where it comes down to that house, it's almost a 45-foot drop in elevation.
Yeah.
If you look at the topographical. From the top of that hill there, so you got all that water coming down that street, and it stops right there on that curb and goes right in that guy's house. Now, we didn't have that problem 2 weeks ago or last weekend. We didn't have that issue. I was out there. We didn't have that issue. We have that problem that we're discussing fixing, which absolutely we need to work on it. We need to figure out a way to make this happen. It only happens when we have a deluge of 4+ inches of water. And then everything from Dunbarton down there in that curve it backs up all halfway up that 3 or 4 houses there and back into the street over here on this side. Me and Mr. Boxer were out there one day. We looked like a couple of drenched rats trying to get some cones out there so people quit splashing water everywhere. And here's the question that Mr. Robinson is going to raise his head when I ask it. Are ARPA funds available to help us fix this?
Potentially, I mean, we've kind of got the ARPA funds designated.
But
with
no,
the-
I understand where he's going. I'm just asking, would it be feasible if we, I don't know if that's even a proper question to be asking, to be honest with you. It's going to be tough because I know what he's coming with. But would this be a project for ARPA funds?
Potentially, Vince could speak to it a lot fuller.
Yeah, so what you can do is, with the ARPA funds, like you said, we've got all our projects defined right now that we're gonna do. And we're only about 3.5 weeks away from where we have to have everything advertised. So it'd be tough to get a project like this, you know, designed and ready to go for an ARPA project.
Are there any more ARPA funds? Have they all been committed?
Yes, sir, they have been. They have been. The only thing you could do is you'd have to swap money from one project to another. You can do that, but like I said, we wouldn't have time to design this project and get it out.
Well, following up from what Alderman Young said, are there any kind of maybe grants or EWP money or anything that we may apply for to do this project? You and Mr. Box?
I'm sure there are grants that we could look at. Stormwater is a little bit harder than like water and sewer to get a grant for, but we could certainly, you know, be looking for that kind of money. Because it's going to be, you know, I don't know what it would cost to do that, but we could certainly come back after our analysis and come up with kind of a cost estimate.
So, gentlemen, what is it you want to do tonight? Do you want to do a study? Do you want to ask the board just for that money to do that section of pipe? Do you want to check and see if there are funds available in grants? What are y'all requesting? What's y'all's recommendation to the board?
Yeah, right now, we're not requesting any kind of, monies for, or approvals for any of these projects right now until I can get, Vince and them to get more of a, you know, what we really need to do. We hate to spend good money after bad, you know, on something, so we need to, you know, have their engineers look at it, see if that pipe, because if we put in a pipe that they say we actually need to go to a bigger pipe, then we just wasted money. So we don't really want to do that.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Is this the same pipe where we bought the house and demolished it and made a thing come down towards Shallow? From the top of the hill, it came down and it was going in that guy's house, and we demolished the house.
The house I know that was that the one over there on Kensington or something like that? No, I don't think this.
Between Jamestown and Kensington.
Yeah, I don't think this has any effect. That has any effect with
I
this.
know we bought that house to make a flow to slow the water down. Then they found a big concrete in there or something and got it out. And I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah,
They said
we
when
got
it
that
gets
fixed.
When it gets to Shadow Oaks, it kind of floods out. I've seen water come out the manhole like that.
Yeah, and it's a lot of. If you go to that area of the city, it seems like everything funnels to that point there. So you know, we're like, is that pipe big enough? Is that what we're trying to find out here? Is it?
That's been going on about 10 years, so we might need to stop.
And it's really not a problem until we get those really sheets of rain that we, you know, those oddball rains that we get where they come down and we get just inches and inches within an hour, fills the ditches up, and that's when we get that problem. Regular standard rains, there's no problem out there. We never have any issues with just regular rain. It's the immediate downpours that within an hour, we get 3 or 4 inches of rain in an hour or something like that, causes an issue.
Alderman Bledsoe.
And the other thing I've been saying for years, you got a gallon of water and you got a Coke can, you can't put all that in that Coke can that fast, so.
Yeah.
It's a problem that they have everywhere, like they got 3 feet of water in Georgia and North Carolina. It's gotta go somewhere.
Right.
Alderman Klein.
So how long will it take, Vince, to do the study on this?
I'd have to check and see what our, workload looks like in that area right now, but it shouldn't take more than about a month.
A month?
A month to 6 weeks, yeah, do that analysis.
Yeah, because we definitely, this thing has been kicked down the road for years, and we need to put a solution, down one way or the other. And the
Yeah,
phase 1, phase 2 sounds pretty decent.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. If it is something that we can do, maybe let's do it in phases. So, if we can do replacement of this pipe up to this pipe, and then sometime down the road, do some more, and eventually we'll have the whole thing completed. But we just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. We don't want to waste money and time with the wrong product.
Alderman Klein still.
All right, so Mr. Vince, in November, you could have us a report ready, is what you're saying, a month?
Yeah, and don't hold me to the exact date, but, because I need to check on some things, but somewhere around 6 weeks or so.
Okay, all right.
Alderman Bossy.
So you're saying every time we get the big sheets of rain, massive like that, we have an issue? Does it flood somebody's home at that time, or is it just?
It does get up, it has flooded one of those homes. I'm not sure at the home of the person that's made the initial complaint, if he's actually gotten water into his home. I know he said he's gotten close, or up to his doors.
Right.
There. The corner house there also has had problems before too, so, right there at the corner of Dunbarton and,
You're talking about Alderman Roberts' former home.
yes, Alderman Roberts' former home.
I just know over where I live, there was a couple of times when that happened, I couldn't leave my home, or I couldn't get into my home. Until y'all trenched out the ditch over there, and now we don't have that issue. But anyway, I was gonna ask you, Mayor, if we do this, do we need to make a motion tonight to have Vince do this study?
I don't think so.
I think you can do it under your general services contract, can't you?
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? Alderman Young, when you were talking this afternoon, you had an idea about how it might divert water coming down from the higher elevations. Would you be kind enough, when they meet, would you ask them about that?
Yeah, Mr. Box and I, we talked very briefly about that, and that is not, at this present time, under the conditions that we're looking at, and the deterioration in those pipes, because I'm probably gonna give you a best guess estimate. I don't know what I know, but I'm gonna tell you, it's probably gonna go all the way down to that Dunbarton down there, because all that water comes into there. And that moving that water off of Shadow Oaks, or not off Shadow Oaks, but Shady Grove, moving that stuff off Walnut Grove over there, not say I did it again. And moving that water is not gonna matter, it's just gonna put it into the pipe sooner, which is just gonna cause more flooding.
Okay.
So that's, once we get this issue, and I'll bring you up to speed on that, Mr. Vince. Once we get this issue figured out and the study's done and we know exactly how much money you're gonna have to write a check for, huh? Oh, I thought you were doing this.
No.
Oh.
Vote on it.
Once we know this, then we can move on with some other ideas, but, and to answer Mr. Bostic, yes, there has been water in both of those houses. I'm not gonna say regularly, but just like Mr. Box says, when those sheets come down, I've stood in the water on those roads up to my knees. And I mean, it's not, that we stood out there trying to stop, it was just not good, and those poor people. One time would be enough, but watching forecasts is something else. But,
Yeah, well, and then like I said.
yeah, we gotta do something. We do need to fix it, so whatever we need.
Because
Okay.
it has gone to, as you go down Dunbarton, when we get those rains, it wants to back up along there as well. And that's, when when the ditches get full like that, it's like, you gotta kind of wait till they recede before you can get any kind of flow going again.
All right, thank you. And while you're standing there, we've dodged a bullet the last 2 or 3 weeks on account of the rain. Thank you and your crew for the great job you've done on the storm drains. And thank everyone who's been helping with the rodeo, because you've had 2. And I went down there and looked Saturday, and it was a loblolly. It was a loblolly. Okay, so we've had that discussion.
Thanks, sir.
Y'all are gonna check on it. Thank you. Sir?
Quick question. If you remember, we talked about the insert to the pipes. Mr. Harvey mentioned it one time. The place in Batesville. that
Yes.
Makes those things that goes inside the pipe.
Right.
Would that be, suitable?
That'll be, had to determine really through the engineers if they think it's, I mean, I don't know if this pipe is worthy enough to do that. I don't know if it's, the integrity of this pipe is any good or not, so.
Or maybe after we get the survey, see what's going on. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anything else, sir? Alderman, is there anything, Alderman Dupree, is there anything else, sir? All right, thank you, sir. All right, moving on down, do we have any citizens' remarks?
No, sir.
All right. Mayor, Alderman correspondence. I just want to thank everybody for the great job they did getting ready for the weather we were supposed to have last week. It was horrible, but y'all did a great job. We had no major incidences. I want to thank every department for the hard work they do. You heard the auditor talk, and you heard Mr. Robinson talk about the financial condition of the city, and a lot of that is due to the efforts of the department heads and those in their staffs, and certainly thank you. I know there's some people want to move on this evening, and Ms. AJ had a suggestion and saying just ask the board, is there anyone that has any remarks or comments? Anyone? Alderman Dupree.
Yes, sir. I would like to ask the board, for the House of Grace is a golf tournament on October the 15th. It's a 4-man team. It's $500, and the money goes to the House of Grace. That money would come out of the Economic Development Fund. I would like to make a motion if that's okay.
We have a motion by Alderman Dupree. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Young. Is there any discussion? Alderman Bostic.
Hey, Jim, in House of Grace on our list of our budget that we give to every year when they apply for it?
Yes, they do we actually they are on, through that memorandum of understanding with all cities, but they do a separate fundraiser with this tournament also. So yes, we have given the past years to actually both events.
Mr. Robinson, exactly what does that mean? Do you mean we're automatically given the money and then the sponsorship for the golf tournament will be in addition? Or will this be subtracted from that figure?
Yeah, they do come before the board. Usually Miss Susan comes before the board representing the House of Grace for their annual gift that helps their operations. This tournament, I think, it allows them to do more for the people they serve when they get them in. So it's another way that they raise funds for the people they serve to provide items to them.
So this is the sponsorship fees in addition to what they come and ask for?
Correct, yes.
All right. How much is the sponsorship fees?
500.
It's 500. The other cities are involved in this as well.
All and I hate to bring this up, but they don't have to do, since this is the House of Grace and they're on that list, they don't have to turn in this paperwork like the Samaritans had to?
No, our committee had voted that anything 600 and below does not go through that application process.
Good. So we have a motion by Alderman Dupree. We have a second by Alderman Young. Is there more discussion?
Right here, Mayor.
Oh, Alderman Johnson.
If we are to support this effort with the House of Grace, who's willing to play in the tournament? You nominating people now for that?
Well, this is just the standard.
They won't let me play so bad.
Mayor.
Alderman Bledsoe wants to be on the team, I think.
No.
No. You want- Oh, I'm sorry. You want to?
I couldn't play when it had two legs. I play putt-putt. Can we combine this, when they ask for the money at the end, add another $500 and say it's gonna go to the golf tournament, then you do it one time and it's taken care of, or would that exceed what they're supposed to do? I just thought it'd be easier, go and do it one time and be done with it.
I think that's a great idea, but I would like to have the people from the House of Grace come here and talk to us. I know Ms. Katie's not involved in it any longer. If that's all right with you, Alderman.
Well, I just thought they can come talk and ask for the whole shooting match at one time.
Well, I think they want this $500 right now.
Yeah, the tournament is 2 weeks from
I'm
today.
for the future.
All right, yes, sir. So the motion is $500 now. Is that all right, Alderman? Is that okay? All right, anybody else? Roll call, please, Mr. Jim.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. We're down to number 9, department head correspondence. Again, if any alderman has a question or a comment from one of our department heads, just please raise your hand when we get to them. Alderman Bostic.
Hey, Stephen, there was a lady that came and spoke to us about a month ago about ceasefire and how they left the garbage in front of their house. Remember all the water bottles? She came in here and spoke and was real nice. And,
Yes.
well, I've been seeing it throughout the city, and I got ready to come to the meeting tonight, and there's water bottles in my yard. So
Okay, we'll talk to their contractors.
there's garbage cans at every house. They could put them in the garbage.
Yeah, we'll tell them they need to kind of.
I mean, it's hard enough trying to pick up the trash just normally, but when they're throwing water bottles all over the neighborhood, it'd be nice if they cleaned it up. Thank you.
That's great. Mr. Robinson.
Yes, Alderman, I reached out to him last week and told him we've had numerous complaints, and we've set up a meeting. We're meeting with them tomorrow at 10 a.m. So we will be addressing those issues and complaints, and also the cost that it has hit the city for making the repairs. So we have an itemized, Mr. Stephen put together for me an itemized list of the costs, and between them and AT&T, it's over $30,000.
Alderman Bostic.
That was another thing I was gonna say. I called in 3 street lights. All 3 of them got red ribbon around them. So it's an electrical problem. They broke a line. It's not the bulb.
There's numerous instances of
If you're dark in your neighborhood, call ceasefire.
And I really appreciate Mr. Box and everyone working together. We're going to present them with a bill. Well, that's tomorrow. All right. Chief, you have anything for anybody? Anybody have questions for Chief Pullen? Mr. Box, do you have anything else, sir?
No, sir, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Anyone have any more questions, Mr. Box? Chief Linville, do you have anything for the board, sir?
No, sir.
Anyone have any questions for Chief Linville? Mr. Drew, do you have anything for the board?
Hey, good morning, evening, Mayor. I just want to be real quick on this. This Saturday, we're having the Bullfrog Festival. It's hosted by the Horn Lake Chamber of Commerce. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. They're going to have live music, food vendors, car show. Different vendors will be out there, so if anybody would like to come out to that. And then on October the 19th, Saturday, it's going to be our Halloween Spooktacular at Latimer, and that's going to be from 5:30 to 8:30.
And the festival is free, is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. They're both free events.
Anyone have any questions? Alderman Young.
Mr. Drew, that pavilion is really nice. I've had a lot of people that really like that new pavilion. That's good stuff, man. You're doing a great thing out there, and appreciate all you guys and your help doing what they're doing, because the park is looking very, very nice.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Alderman.
Sir.
Mr. Vance, you have anything else for the board, sir?
Yes, sir, Mayor, a couple of quick items here. In reference to the Twin Lakes Water Improvements project that we're doing, I'm guessing y'all approved pay estimate number 2. In that same recommendation letter, I had a request for a change order in the amount of $15,829.60 to cover 2 additional driveways that were added on this project due to that convenience store that was recently built at that intersection. So that's additional boring we had to put in the project to cover those 2 driveways. And so we have checked with, this is your SRF loan program, so we've checked with them and they're okay with the modifying that loan agreement for that amount. So
I don't understand. Of course, Mr. Vince knows I hate change orders. Have they already done the work?
No, sir. No, sir. So this is something that we had, in a unit price contract. So we had.
Sir, I'm
This
sorry.
is a unit price contract. So we already had the boring cost in the contract. It's just a matter of doing more boring right now because of the 2 driveways.
More money?
Yes, sir. $15,000.
$15,000 for each driveway? Or?
No, sir. This total.
Well, that's up to the board if they want to approve it.
Mr. Vance, I'm sorry.
Alderman Dupree.
So this money would go to fix the 2 driveways?
No, sir. So we're putting a water line, we're putting a water line underneath the driveways. They built a driveway there, and our line was supposed to go in that area. And we were going to open cut it and put the line in. Well, now with the driveway there, we're going to bore it, to keep from having to repair any driveway. And so this is a cost to bore that line in those 2 driveways.
So it's cheaper to bore than to
Yes, sir.
replace?
Yes.
Okay.
Alderman Young.
I know this is, you just brought up something I was in conversation about today. When are they going to fix the driveways that they've disrupted? Is that anywhere near
the driveways along Nell Road?
Nail Road and on 301 and
Yeah.
all down through there?
Yeah,
Talking about C-Spire at AT&T?
I'm talking about the water line.
Water line? Okay.
Yeah. So right now they've got they've got it backfilled with like crushed stone material.
Right.
Top. And so I know every time you get a rain, they have to maintain it. But that's what I was telling Alderman Dupree earlier. It's their responsibility to keep that maintained when they have a rain like that. Now, when they're gonna repair those drives, they're probably waiting to get everything done and let it settle in good, and then they're gonna come back and do all of them at one time. So you got your concrete crew and you got an asphalt crew that'll come in there and fix those.
So what you're wanting the $15,000 for, to make sure I understand what I'm saying, yea or nay to, is to bore under the driveways to prevent from cutting through the driveways to place the water line.
Correct.
Okay. I want to make sure I knew what I was talking about. All right, thank you.
Did they know those lines were going to be there before they poured the concrete?
No, sir.
They didn't,
You
they didn't
you
look
mean
at the plans?
driveways?
Yeah.
No, sir.
They didn't know those lines were going to.
Well, it was bid. When we did the plans, we didn't have access to that convenience store where they're gonna put the driveways, and so we didn't have it in our plans to bore anything right there. But now that they do have the driveways in place, it's best to go ahead and bore those.
Well, what I was getting at, the people that are building, that built the convenience store, were they aware that line was going to go there, and then went ahead and poured their concrete anyway?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to see if that was covered in, when they presented their plans to
I
planning.
mean, we can't hold up the project. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you know, there's no way to do that. I just don't like the way that basically got a gun to our head, you know.
Well, here's the thing.
It's
too,
not
mate.
your fault.
No, I know,
It's
but
your
here's,
fault.
let me
You're the
explain it this way, to maybe ease your mind about it a little bit, is the fact that whether we had this boring in the plans originally or not, if we'd had it originally in the plans, we'd be paying the same thing that we're paying now. Because now we're using the same unit cost that he bid on to do the borings in the first place. So it's not changing any unit cost, it's just changing the quantity. And that would have
Changing
been
the
there if
total
we'd had it.
cost.
Yes, it would have
Changing the
changed.
total cost.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, if we'd have had it in there to start with, it'd been the same price as it is now.
Yeah, but that still is, I just wanted to know if the people that built the convenience store knew that line was gonna go down, and instead of waiting for that line to get down, they just went ahead and poured the concrete anyway.
Oh, yeah. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's not really fair to ask you, it just, I mean, I
yeah.
know we can't hold up the whole project over boring under 2 driveways.
Right.
Well, that's all I've got to say. Anybody else? We got a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Young. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Dupree. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe. Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Do you have some more good news, Mr. Mintz?
Mayor, we did open bids on the street project for year 2, phase 1, and we did get some pretty good bids. We got 6 bids, and the low bidder was Falcon Contracting, and I don't have the award letter here right now. We had to do some checking on some things, so I didn't get it here in time, but we will have that at your next board meeting to present for award.
Thank you, sir. I think,
I'm sorry,
I think
and
you
I'll-
were satisfied with the amount of the bid.
Yes, sir.
We approved it on the consent agenda tonight.
For the street project? It must have been added from what I had originally. Okay,
Letter B.
okay. All right, so good. I need you to sign
Thank
this
you,
award
Mr.
letter.
Campbell, reminding all of us. Thank you, thank you.
So, and I was gonna add too, that we do have a map that's gonna show, next year's phase 1 and 2, and I think it was sent to, IT this afternoon, so that he's got that if you wanna put it up on the website. And I can get everybody a hard copy if they want it to, so.
Anything else, Mr. Malavasi?
Yes, sir.
Anyone have any questions or comments? Alderman Young?
Mr. Vince, on this bid on this asphalt, was there an issue with the mix on that or something, or was the mix changed, or what was the deal on that?
No, sir. Our spec had the right, spec that we've always used. I mean, it's a T-dot, M-dot spec. And so I think there was some question. Some of the contractors saw this a lower bid, like we got here, got a good bid, and they were questioning whether he was actually using the right material. Well, the bottom line is he bid that with our spec, so he's gonna use the right material.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Sonia, you have anything for the board? Mr. Glenn's at a conference.
Yeah, he's at a conference for shelter management and grant acquisition right now. For the month of September, we had 72 intakes. We had 63 positive outcomes, and that's return to owner, foster to adopt, adoption, or transfer to rescue. We had a total of 20 negative outcomes, and that's if they died of care or we had to euthanize. We're having an increase in the public calling if they find something that is hurt or injured or sick. So we're taking those animals in now, and we usually don't have a good outcome. We had 2 kittens this week from 2 different places that came in that didn't make it. We are going to the Bullfrog Festival and the Spooktacular. I think that's it.
Thank you, and I think at the festival, y'all be dressed as frogs, aren't you?
Yeah, we have like 3 frog costumes.
Well, I just hate to hear there's an increase in sick and injured animals.
Well, I think they're just calling more, like if they see something that needs help. So,
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Sonia? Mr. Andrew, you have anything for the board?
No, sir, I don't.
I need to ask you about something after this, if you would, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
Because every time I go to see you today, you be busy. So, anybody have any questions, Mr. Andrew? Mr. Robinson, do you have anything?
No, sir, Mayor.
Anybody got questions, Mr. Robinson? Mr. Campbell, do you have anything for the board, sir?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Campbell? Well, I see there's nothing down for executive session, thank goodness. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, moved.
Motion to adjourn by Alderman Young. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Alderman Dupree. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe. Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Get home safely.
All right, bud. You too, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is it your phone? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You typically want to have a decent pipe inside that you're gonna place it inside of, because that stuff, it's probably, it depends on the size of pipe, but it's probably 3/4 inch thick in places. And so, yeah, it's epoxy. Yeah. We use it on smaller pipes. I don't use it a whole lot on